I have a question for you, and I want to know if you've ever encountered the same thing. So, I often talk to entrepreneurs all the time, but specifically in the last 2 weeks. And here's a crazy pattern, and I want to know if you feel the same way too. Number one, people will have an idea about an experience that they've gone through in business. So, let's say, for example, oh, I tried building a business. That offer, it just didn't work for me. I tried launching and nothing came of it. And so what happens is we as entrepreneurs will look at an experience and then we'll put a label on it. Like, oh, I thought that failure was a launch, that launch was a failure. Oh, that one time I tried doing that, boy, did I lose out on that one. It was a failure. It was a loser. It didn't work. It's not my time. That works for other people, not for me. So there's two things that I always find myself coming back to. There is facts and then there's beliefs. And a belief is just a thought we think again and again. There is a fact. You tried to launch and nobody bought. The label many people put on that was a failure or I was a failure. But it takes just as much energy for you to look at a failed launch, a failed offer, and simply say, I know what not to do again. I now know that everything I went through prepared me for this moment. I now know that my messaging needs to change, or I now know that the price needs to change. I now know that the way that I'm presenting it needs to change. And so I am coming in just as a reminder to say that what you did or what happened in the past has no bearing about what you can do in the future. And I just want to have like a deep moment of gratitude and a deep moment of empathy because so many people stop themselves from doing the thing they know they should be doing for fear of rejection, failure, or embarrassment. 3 things that will stop your entrepreneurial journey more than anything else. Those 3 things. In fact, do you know that the human emotion that we as humans are hardwired to avoid the most? Embarrassment. We stop ourselves from doing things because of embarrassment. That is the number one human emotion we all want to avoid. And it stems back to very, very primal times where we were living in tribes. And to be separate, to be different, to have a opposite outcome of what the tribe has, it put us on the outside. And if you lived on the outside of a tribe, you had a very hard time surviving. So we have this ingrained belief that embarrassment is an indication that we are outside. So that if you ever wanted to come out as an entrepreneur and put together an offer, start a business, have a sale, create a course, start a membership, do a podcast, start your YouTube channel, and then it didn't work the way that you had wanted, you're like, never going to do that again. Too many people saw it. They have opinions. I look like an idiot. I'm a failure. I wasn't enough. And all I'm asking is for us to have a real conversation. There is a fact. Something you wanted didn't turn out the way that you had hoped. You get to choose your belief. That was a failure, or I know what to not do again. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm more ready. I now know what I didn't know. And so this whole past few weeks, I have been promoting a course, a live course experience called Your Biggest Launch Ever. And so there's a group of people who are coming in. We close the doors tomorrow at 5 p.m. But what I am seeing is so many people who are right at the precipice of making a decision, but they say, or they think, or they feel that that last failure is going to stop me from pursuing future opportunities. And I'm just like, whoa, we need to have a conversation about that. We need to have a conversation around why we stop ourselves from pursuing the things that we want based on things not happening the way we had hoped in the past. Because here's one thing that I'm certain of, is that entrepreneurship, we say, oh, I got in the game. I'm in the game of entrepreneurship. That's true. But in this game, there is no such thing as a winner. You can't win business. You can make more money, you can find more success, you can have nicer cars, you can have bigger houses, but you don't win in business. There's no winner. Who's the first place champion of business? If you ask 10 different people, you might get a different answer. And if you can get a different answer, and that means there's no clear winner, that means that being a winner cannot possibly exist. So if we're all playing the game of entrepreneurship and there isn't a winner, then the goal of entrepreneurship is just to stay in the game as long as possible. And if you're going to stay in the game as long as possible, then you understand that some days are going to be great and some days feel like you got punched in the face. Then you get to make the decision, I'm going to stay in business. I'm going to show up and practice business. I'm going to practice business. So when my game day comes, the only person who I'm playing against is my potential. My greatest enemy, your greatest enemy, the person you need to beat every single day in business isn't me, and it isn't 18 other people. Who you need to beat in business today is who you were yesterday. And who you're trying to be better than is not me or anybody else in business. The person you're trying to be better than today is the person who you are tomorrow. That's it. So if we show up and we are practicing business, then why can't we give ourselves the permission to practice? Because what happens is when you practice business, you're building in public. People get to see when you have a promotion. People get to see when you have an offer. People get to see you make the big, bold declaration to say, I'm going to be in business. And people are like, oh, look at her in business. I want you to pause and really genuinely think. Just give yourself give yourself 30 seconds of real talk and just be alone with yourself. And I want you to think about where you are in this moment. Are you watching in your cubicle? Are you listening at home? Are you making arroz con gandules? Are you picking up your kids from the PTA line? I want you to go back to who you were 5 years ago and look at this version of you today. That person 5 years ago could never imagine what you're doing today. Who you are today, would go back to that person in 5 years and say, oh, guess what? I did that thing. I married that girl. Oh my God, we're pregnant with a kid. Or we decided to adopt. You want to know what? I'm taking care of my parents. I just retired. I just bought my home. I just got my own website. I just hired my first team member. You go back and you tell yourself 5 years ago that that's the thing that you've done today. And that person is like, oh my God, you're doing it. But today, you might feel the weight and the heaviness of showing up and practicing. But I want to tell you that there is a version of you in the future who's looking at back you today saying, job well done. I'm so happy that today you practiced. Might not have been the best practice, but you practiced. And the way that you fall in love with this game is by understanding there will be high days and there will be low days, and there will be light days and there will be dark days, and there will be full days and there will be empty days. But that is called practice, so that when we have the opportunity to win at our own game, we just know it is another day. It is another opportunity. And so if you want to stay in the game, your objective is to get a coach who has been there and done that. Because if you could have figured it out by now, you would have. If you could have muscled your way to the next level, you would have. But you don't know what you don't know. This is why I created Your Biggest Launch Ever. We close the doors tomorrow. I would love to see you on the inside so that you are no longer practicing at the level of the game you were playing, but you are practicing at the level of the game you want to play. It is time to move from Farm League and start playing in the MLB. I want you winning the World Series, and that is only defined by you. What is the game you want to play? Let's win. YourBiggestLaunchEver.com. I will see you guys there. The doors close tomorrow. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Take care. Bye.